Hi, and welcome to Morning Coffee with Pazan Academy. I'm Deanna, and today I want to talk to you about the top 5 activities you can do to engage your kids in an art museum or a natural history museum. Number 1 on our checklist is to engage them in a scavenger hunt. Now you can do some research before you go and see what types of things they have. For instance, if you're at a natural history museum, they typically will have an area where they have some geological samples, they'll have some dinosaurs, they'll have mammals, and so you can have them do a scavenger hunt where they need to find certain things in each of these galleries. And that is a really fun way to have them be interested instead of just kind of walking through, looking on their phones, or just not engaged at all. This engages them with the activity, with the museum. If you're in an art museum, depending on the age group, you can have different scavenger hunts. For instance, if they're younger kids, you can tell them that they need to find a painting of a city, a painting of the countryside, a rainbow, and different things, a painting that has a dog in it. And this is a good way to keep them looking at the art, and it can also build appreciation of the art. If they're a little bit older, you can kind of bump up what they're going to be looking for. For instance, a 19th century painting with a train in it, and so they'll have to look at the wall text to identify the time period as well. Now, for all of our checklists that we're doing this week, we will have some downloads that you can use that will be on our website, so make sure you check that out. There'll be a link in the description below. And so let's move on. Number 2 is to have them draw their favorite thing that they see. Now, in museums, you will only be allowed to use a pencil and a notebook or a clipboard with paper on it, but they can sketch using pencil, and so they can sketch it out. You can also take a picture of it, and they can add color at home if they want to embellish their drawing, or take their sketch and look at the picture and then create another drawing at home. This is a way for them not only to find something and keep looking at the art or what they're seeing at the Natural History Museum and try to find something that they like. One thing you can do is have them take notes on what gallery they're in and what the title of the painting or the sculpture or what they're looking at in the Natural History Museum. And then if they write down all of their favorites, they can go back and look at them again, and you'll know where they're located. And that's another way to keep them engaged and keep them really wanting to look at what is in front of them. Number 3 is to have them write down 5 interesting things that they've learned. And this, along with the scavenger hunt and other things on our checklist, can be made into a friendly competition. So if you have more than one kid with you, or you have a big family group with cousins, this is a fun way to have them be a little competitive and maybe up their game a little bit instead of just writing anything down. You can give awards for the most creative thing that they learned, the most interesting thing that they learned, the most unusual thing that they've learned. And so this is a good way to keep them engaged, and the prizes can be really low bar. It can even be deciding where you're going to go for dinner, or what you're going to have for dinner, or what will be made for dessert. It can be something that you pick up at the dollar store. The prize isn't really the important part. It's to keep them engaged in the activity in the museum that you're visiting. The 4th item on the checklist is to have them differentiate different time periods, and this can be done in the Natural History Museum and in the Art Museum. And so you can have them compare and contrast art from different periods. So if you're at a large museum and they span a lot of different periods, for instance, the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York or the LA County Museum, then you can have them look at the ancient art, and then you can have them look at maybe Impressionism, and then you can have them look at neoclassical art and compare the features. How are humans depicted? What seems to be important in that culture at that time period? And this is a really fun activity for them in an art museum. But you can also do the same thing in a natural history museum. For instance, if you're in the geological area, they're going to have rock specimens, and you can have them categorize them by shape, by luster or shininess. And so in the art museum, time periods is really easy, but in the Natural History Museum, there are other ways that you can have them categorize. You can have them contrast birds versus mammals versus dinosaurs, and they can compare things like size and shape and even maybe their motor function, how they got around. Were they on all fours? Were they bipedal, using just 2 feet? Did they fly? Those sorts of things, and that keeps them engaged in the museum as well. The 5th thing on our checklist is to have them create a story about the museum. Now, this can be a fantasy story about the things in the museum coming to life, or the people in the paintings walking out of the paintings at night. It can be something like the movie Night at the Museum, where you get trapped in the museum and what happens. And so this is a really creative way, and what you'll want to do is to have them write down notes that they can use in the story that they're going to create. And then when the whole family is together, you can have them maybe tell their story, read their story, or even act out their story in front of the family. And then you can vote on who is the most creative or who is the scariest, and give little prizes to the kids as well. So these are some activities that you can use with your kids to keep them engaged in the art museum or the natural history museum, so they're not going to just be looking on their phones or bored or hate the fact that the whole family is going together and you're trying to have family time. This makes it really fun. Those family competitions can really help bring it up to the next level for the kids. And another thing about this is that while they're engaged at the museum, that's great, but you can take it to the next level where you can share after the experience. You can give away prizes. You can have them talk about their experience at the dinner table or just sitting around the living room. And so this is a really rich way of having good family time, particularly if you're traveling and getting together in larger family groups for the holidays. If you like what we're doing, please share our videos, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell. We also have links to our other social media channels in the description below. And don't forget to check out that webpage where we're going to offer you some templates and have a list of these checklists for you. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.